I'm really happy. I'm very excited to talk to Jun at Bureau UFO today. I think their work is pretty incredible, as you guys will see. And Jun is joining us today from Singapore. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Glenn. Sorry I made you do this so early in the morning.
Hey, this is totally fine. Sorry for being so late at your time.
Yeah, we are like 7 hours difference.
So yeah, let's get started by for those who don't know about Bureau UFO, like give us a little bit of background of how you started this company with your partner and what got things going.
Okay. My name is June, and I run the design studio Bureau UFO with my partner Yana since 2008. And the studio name comes from euphoria, the feeling that we get from doing visual design. So we do projects like branding, visuals, motion graphics, and nowadays a bit of AR. So I started as a self-taught, and I graduated from an IT course. I learned about Java programming, HTML, PHP, C++, and I remember we had a module on human-computer interaction, which is what you call user experience nowadays. So we would invite participants to use our crappy websites and see if they can navigate around. We were never taught about design. Nothing about legibility, fonts, contrast, color. And it's just us coding using tables, basic Dreamweaver, that kind of basic stuff.
Yeah.
And we even had to learn how to connect switches to routers. There was also a module on computing mathematics. So, yeah, it
So
was
very technical.
Yeah, very, very technical. They teach you how to use the software, and that's it.
And what got you interested in the more creative side?
Actually, I was always interested in arts and design, and it's through music covers. Like I would often buy albums because the cover looked good, and I wanted to study design, but it was too expensive at the time for me. So I chose the more practical kind of because back then web was all the hype. So I chose a course that's more practical for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the first day of my course, my IT course, I told everyone that I regretted choosing the course because all my classmates has some kind of basic computing knowledge, and I don't even have a PC at home. So I would catch up and try to learn as much as I can by staying back at school to use the computers. And I came across websites like News Today, Design is Kinky, PlayStation,
Classics.
Gman. Yeah.
Classics.
Yeah, that's why I got exposed to all these cool experimental designs. And it was during that time, school days, that I get to visit dance clubs, and I would collect the flyers because they are so well designed.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized that there was someone getting paid to do this kind of work. So that kind of gave me an idea of what to do after I graduate. And I would buy computer arts and start to follow their tutorials, and I would post the results onto my website because I can do my own website. So that's how I got my first job as a
Amazing.
designer.
So computer arts even makes it all the way around the world. I think it had such a big influence on so many of us at that time.
Yeah, especially when the internet wasn't so advanced back then. Yeah, we don't have YouTube. We don't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, those websites that you were mentioning, like K10K and News Today, I think like they were really same for me. Like I just spent so much time on those websites just trying to like look at other really interesting and well designed things and other websites. Like they had a big influence on me as well.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay, so once you got like a taste for I guess club flyers and sort of promotional design, what then made you what did you then first of all get a job in the creative industry, or did you just start freelancing straight away?
I started straight as an in-house designer from the Ministry of Sound Club in Singapore.
Huh.
And yeah, because I have all these graphic works online. So I served 2.5 years in the army. So before I got released from the army, I I saw a job interview. I saw a designer back then was through his blogger site that he was looking for a designer. So I just sent him the link, and he asked me for an interview, and that's how I got my first job.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. But
So
yeah.
and when you did you then go from that job on to, I think I remember you saying like a job in advertising after that.
Mm, that was my second job. Yeah.
And that was where, in Singapore still, so you stayed most of the time in that city?
Yeah. Yes. Uh, I can show you some of the flyers that I
If
did.
you've got them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My first flyer.
Hell yeah, show me.
Okay. This is the
Good old Ministry of Sound. Amazing.
yeah. It's for their opening here. It has a
Oh, it's
matte
got like a
finish.
varnish? Oh, nice.
Yeah, matte varnish with spot UV and foil stamping,
Lovely.
and it is about 15 years old.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So at that
So
time, did you already
yeah.
have to like convince? Did you already have to then convince them to go a little bit more like with some extra print finishes, or had they already established quite a like a high quality printed material at Ministry of Sound?
Um, because it was a new outlet that was opening, so everything was kind of very open for us. So there was no budget constraints. So I get to do like different kinds of finish for every flyer.
Amazing.
Like we have glow in the dark ink for Halloween, where you
Awesome.
can see the skulls and bats. And
That must have been great fun.
yeah, it's really fun. I get to play with like rainbow foil stamping.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just basically paid to play.
Amazing. That's a dream
Yeah,
job.
yeah, that's a dream job for me.
What made you leave? Like, what made you leave that job to move into advertising?
Because the pace was fast. I was churning out flyers week after week,
Hmm.
and after some time, I felt that to do, I wanted my design to kind of have more impact
Yeah.
rather than just creating fancy graphics for clubs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether the people come to the club, is it partly because of the flyers, or just purely for who's playing?
Fair enough.
So I wasn't sure. So I wanted to see if I can create more impact through the work. So
Yeah.
I moved on to advertising. Yeah.
Great. So you did, like, how many years did you stay in that next job before? So that was like after that you met Yana and started UFO, or?
That was before. So I met Yana during my time at Ogilvy Advertising.
Ah, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I worked there as a visualizer and art director,
Mhm.
and everything was different from my first job. The pace was much slower. Everyone kind of specializes at something, and definitely it took much longer to see the final work get produced.
Mhm.
But it was a good experience, and I got to learn about InDesign, proper kerning, proper design work. You know, I got to see how things are at the corporate level.
Mhm.
Mm, yeah. That's when I met Yana. She was my ex-colleague. She was sitting next to me. Yeah. And
And then you guys just decided like, oh, we should probably do something together and just like leave this job?
uh,
Or what was the motivation to start your own studio?
okay. Uh, at that time, I wanted to have more control of my time. I still want to make time for self-improvement,
Mhm.
but I wasn't able to because the jobs would like come in like 6 p.m. and we have to rush it out the next morning. By the next morning, and there are pitches at that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I find it rather inefficient use of my time.
yeah, definitely.
So and I was very inspired by an internal memo my chairman addressed to the whole company.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was complaining that the agency shouldn't sacrifice the work to keep peace with clients. Like
Huh.
we should defend the work more instead of giving in. Like we try to avoid the trouble and hassle. We just settle for what is
Whatever
called
makes a
good.
client happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I thought that it was a sign that to tell me that I should move on. And I remember he said, only dead fish go with the flow.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to be a dead fish. So I just quit. I didn't have a plan. Yeah. But
Amazing.
I figured that I should just try to spend more time on my own projects.
Okay, so how did that transition work then? So you quit, did you already have a few clients lined up, or did you just sort of quit and then figure it out as you went along, or?
Yeah, I just quit, and this was during the financial crisis.
Dude, same here,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, but I was I was ignorant, so I didn't really factor this kind of stuff.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. So and then I just quit and started experimenting, learning stuff,
Mhm.
and started freelancing. And I asked Yana to join me because I remember at the agency she showed me her work, her drawing work,
Yeah.
and I was shocked because she was a desktop artist. She was a graphic designer, but she could draw well. But the studio and the agency didn't use her for any illustration jobs.
That's weird.
So yeah, this was like when I realized that you cannot depend on anybody to, discover your talent or realize your potential.
Yeah.
So I asked her to join me, and we would take on any kind of work: web design, illustration, storyboarding, uh, visuals for agency, events branding, exhibition design, road shows, anything that we could do, we just do it. Yeah.
Amazing. The artwork that you're referring to, is that what you sent me in the examples of work that you sent me during the week? Like you sent me some really incredible painted work. Is that from Yana?
Yeah, yes. That was our artist side of the things.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I'll try and share that on screen now just to give folks a wee look at this. Yeah, they're really incredible.
Uh, yeah, she's the most talented illustrator that I know, which I didn't know many at that time.
Yeah. So, like, you guys moved, you left your jobs and then said, okay, well, we're going to do something ourselves. Did you just work from home at the beginning? Did you already have did you like find a space to work from? Like, how were the first couple, what was the first year like at UFO? Finding work, settling in, how did you work together? Love to hear how that start went.
Uh, we didn't have an office, and it's been it's always been the case. Yeah, we would just work from our home office. So back then it was just a room with two iMacs, and we just started taking on projects. Yeah, and how did I price my work at first? It goes back to when I was still having a full-time job at the Ministry of Sound,
Mm-hmm.
and I got contacted for a project from an ad agency. I think it was for Coca-Cola, and they asked me about the fee, and I didn't know how to cost. I have no experience, so I just threw a random number. I just said $5,000, and I waited for the response, the email response, and they come back with saying that they only have a budget of 3,500,
Okay.
and I said it's okay next time then. So very early on, I was okay to walk away from projects. So it did help when we first started. So we were more confident when we priced our projects.
That's great. Like, I mean, it takes a lot of courage at the beginning to walk away from work as well when you know it doesn't quite fit where you want to be or where you want to get to.
Mm.
And so I guess at some point you must have gotten that job that met your budget or that kind of fitted into the brief that you would like to work on. How do you guys work together then? Like, do you split the jobs between you? Do you both work on the creative side, or does one take more of a sort of project management role? Like, how do you split that up?
Uh, it's it's very much like an agency. So we try not to overlap our skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
And like she's the better illustrator, so I won't be working on too much on illustrative stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll be handling the site that requires corporate identity, logo design, corporate guide, typography. Yeah, even when we are learning and researching or experimenting, like she would be handling 3D modeling. She would learn more in depth about 3D modeling, and I would just learn about materials and lighting, and then we collaborate and we see what happens.
I mean, I'm just flicking through a few examples of your work here, and I think what I really love is your use of color is always spot on. Like you guys are, like all your work is just so vibrant and powerful, and I'd love to, yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more. So I'm showing the one of my favorites, the Akira sort of mashup where it's like exploding out. And like, is that then something that Yana mostly illustrates and you kind of help a little bit art direct, or is that like a combination of both of your skills? Because there's typography involved, but a lot of illustration. Like, how do you split a job like that?
Okay, that was actually for an art show, which was supposed to happen this year, but COVID happened.
Nah.
Yeah. Uh, so the brief was to create an artwork that was about 1 meter wide. So it is a massive print.
Wow.
So we were rewatching Akira, and the scene of the destruction really spoke to us. I thought that it encapsulated the whole anime quite well.
Definitely.
So we wanted to do a scene on destruction, and we thought that uh, 3D program is quite good at destruction.
Mhm.
So it's very good at fragmentation and also repetition, like cloning, like objects. There's a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe for this piece we could do it from 3D. So it was part 3D and just a little bit was illustrated.
So
So the buildings, the destruction, everything was modeled out in 3D.
amazing.
And I had to learn a new type of renderer that gives this comic flat look effect.
Ah, right. So like
Yeah,
more like a cell shaded.
yeah. Sketch and tune,
Ah, right.
and we only illustrated the face.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Everything else
yeah,
is 3D.
yeah. And we also
Amazing.
took the opportunity to learn about Marvelous Designer,
Yeah.
which is a software for cloth
Uh-huh.
and fabric. So the costume itself is done in Marvelous Design
Wow.
and then imported back into 3D and then rendered it out as a flat image. And then we touch up in Photoshop. We put in the face and yeah. And
So cool.
the good thing about it is after that we can animate, have a few slight animations. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I hope it goes to print. I would definitely, I would definitely buy a version of that.
Yeah, it's available. It's available. I can send you the link.
Send me the link.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Nice one. All right. Well, sorry, I got this. I got distracted because I remember seeing that when I was going through your work, and I'm just a massive Akira fan. I thought that was like a great rendition.
Thanks.
Um. So, what's like when you look at the kind of work that you guys did at the beginning to the sort of work that you're doing now? What's like the kind of criteria that you have for picking a project? Like, I mean, are you in the position, especially this year? I mean, I think it's difficult for a lot of us, but are you still in the position of like selecting, like, a being picky? And if you can be picky, like, what's like the things that you look out for in your the kind of work that you want to do?
Okay. Before COVID, we had three criteria for taking any project. That was the first thing is obviously money, and second is professional satisfaction,
Hmm.
and third one is fun. We need to hit 2 out of 3. One out of three is
Okay,
like back in the agency, where you have money but it's not fun and there's no satisfaction.
sure.
Yeah, and right now, yeah, we are fortunate to be able to still like choose projects because partly because we keep our costs down. I mean, we only have a home studio,
Hmm.
so that's how we like to keep it. So we are able to choose what kind of projects that we think we can help make an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said pre-COVID, those were your
Yeah,
rules. What
yeah.
what about post-COVID?
Post-COVID,
Has anything changed now that we're
uh,
in this awkward situation? Like, have you had
yeah,
to?
definitely. It's not so strict anymore. Maybe half of it is okay. Money, obviously, and maybe we can convince ourselves there's some satisfaction.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, we are all adapting. You know.
yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I know you touched a little bit on the teamwork, but I always find that like I've worked from home for over 10 years now, and so me and my wife kind of share our workspace as well, and it's always worked pretty well, I think. So, like, I
Yeah.
wonder, do you guys? I mean, you said like you work from home. Do you share that space as well? Like, so you are kind of with each other quite a lot. Like, how is that creatively? Do you get on at work as well? Is it like does that situation work for you quite well?
Mm, it kind of like it's between work and life is quite inseparable.
Yeah.
And yeah, the pros of it is you can talk about work with your spouse, and the cons of it is like you talk too much about work with each other. Yeah,
Definitely.
sometimes we find it hard to draw boundaries. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I bet.
we would have arguments during work or project, and it would get carried on to the personal life. Yeah, but it's magical to work together and come up with a piece that we are both really satisfied with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be working for you guys. So you're doing, yeah, I mean, you're producing great work together. And
Well, you should see the argument we have.
well, maybe that's part of your process. Like maybe that tension needs to be there to produce good work.
Yeah.
So what do you guys then do to try and get away from work? Do you like have some hobbies? What's Singapore like to live and work in?
Well, Singapore is very small. We are like smaller than Berlin. We
Huh.
are half the size of London.
I didn't
But
realize. I always
yeah,
imagined it to be quite a large city.
yeah, it's very small. It's like I can see the city center from my home, and I
No way.
live in on the west side of Singapore.
Wow.
Yeah. So naturally, there are less events about art and design here, and simply because we don't have the market to support uh, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's very few, so it's much more corporate work, and we are a very safe city, crime rate wise and creatively. So yeah, we have the same government for like over 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So there are less diversity, I think.
Okay.
And it's we try to go to events to know try to get to know other designers, but it's few and far.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like, have you ever? I mean, you've lived there all your life, most of your
Yeah,
life. Have you
yeah.
ever considered um, moving somewhere else, or are you still quite happy there?
I'm quite happy because it's safe and, and there's a lot of food here. Like I
Oh, that's the
can,
best part.
yeah, I can, because it's small, so I can just walk down across the street and there's cheap and good food.
Amazing.
So this is a quite a nice place to live in, but to work, for creative work,
Hmm.
that's why we are more like global. We take on global clients instead of try to limit ourselves within Singapore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just having a wee scroll through your website as well to show some of your more recent work. Like, I think what really stands out, as I said, is your use of color and texture. But would you say then that most of your clients are international? So,
I would say it's about 60-40%.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
60 international, 40 local.
amazing. All right. Well, talk us about you've spoken through the process on a couple of projects, but you gave me a few examples that for you stood out as like a good example of the process in some variety of projects of yours. So I think for branding, you had suggested the GIF Fest, which I'll bring up on screen for folks to see. Talk us a little bit through the process on that project.
Mm, okay. have you got the image?
Yes,
Okay,
got it on
sure.
screen here.
For GIF Fest 1, we were approached in 2017 to actually create an animated poster for the festival. It was Singapore's first GIF festival, and it was organized by the National Arts Council. And the goal was to help close the gap between the art world and the general public. So we were only tasked to do the key visual. So I remember one of the questions, first question I asked was, did they already have a logo? Right? In my mind I was thinking, the logo for GIF Fest better be a GIF. I think that was the best approach. So I asked them, and they said that if you want to do the logo, it's fine. It's fine with us.
Great.
So I tried to I kind of like upsell and did the branding for this project. Yeah, that was the approach. So the first thing we did was to tackle the logo instead of the original task of the poster. So we have no idea how to do a kinetic logo. No idea. So we did it in the GIF way, which is a frame by frame animation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we just did like 13 different configuration of different font weights and kerning and tracking. So we will lay them so that when it plays, it creates this lo-fi GIF effect.
Yeah.
The idea of movement is conveyed through the motion.
Yeah.
So, and then we showed the rough version because we need to test it out if we can deliver. So we showed the rough version to the client, and they were like, "Oh, can we start using that already?"
Oh, really?
So yeah, I told no, this is just a proof of concept. And the whole idea just kind of extends to the whole event and poster.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was for the first GIF Fest. And for the next edition, we made sure we know how to do a kinetic type. So it was smooth all the way. And the theme was about art and magic of animation. So we have this 3D portrait of Dali that is formed by magical elements. You have magic wands, the hat and stuff, and some melting clocks. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. I was showing the Dali face earlier. So good. Like, I think it's great that they bought into that idea so early on. I think like how you play with the size and scale of the type as well. It works really well for that festival. But like I think this is where you guys have that unique position of a really good understanding of typography and layout, combined with like some really great 3D visuals. I think often that's then done by sort of separate teams or like separate people and then brought together. I think that's a real advantage to you guys, that you can do that both in your team.
But we are a small team, just the two of us. Yeah.
Do you then ever bring in other freelancers or other partners for projects?
Yes, we do partner with if we get a brief that's like complex motion stuff that we can't do, so we'll partner up with another motion studio.
Great.
So yeah, and bigger things that we cannot handle, like GIF Fest itself, we only tackle the visual stuff. So like the setup and all is all done by third party companies.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I bet that would be the most stressful part, so it's good that you don't have to do
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah, we only handle everything that's visual.
Nice. All right. Well, the second example you'd given me was for Adobe Experience, which I'll try and bring up on screen now. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Okay, this was totally different from the branding project. Branding project, you will spend more time understanding what they want to achieve, sitting with the clients, chatting. And for this one, it's totally different because they already have what they wanted. So we got an email from Adobe, and it's, on the first email, it's very clear. They are having a tight deadline. They need 2 to 3 type renderings for the word experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to convey the idea of a smooth customer journey.
Mm-hmm.
And they even provide the mood boards and references and budget. So all we had to do was to say okay and sign the agreement. And the next day we started sending the basic sketches in isometric view. And it's just a few back and forth on proportion, and it was out. And we got paid within that month. So it was totally different from the branding that takes like quite a few months to get it right.
Yeah, so like a really
Yeah.
quick turnaround.
Mm.
And you had to do it in different languages as well.
That was only after the first round went well. So then they contacted us again. So asking if we have the time to extend it up to French and German.
Awesome.
But we didn't consider different language the first time round. So
No, I
when we were
bet.
when we were doing the German, there was quite a few problems to connect the letters
Yeah,
because we didn't
German's
plan
tricky.
it. We didn't plan it the first time. Yeah.
Amazing. No, it looks really good. Turned out real nice. All right. And then how about talking us through the Outline Montreal? I'll bring that up on screen as well for us to have a look at.
I have it right here. The
You do?
mouse.
Ah, yeah, we've got that. We picked that as our cover image for the feature on our site. So yeah, tell us a little bit. Did you what was the brief like? What was the initial project?
Okay. We got an email from Outline Montreal about
Mhm.
their Kickstarter project, and they already did the first time round, like a few years ago. So they want to have a second series. So they invited illustrators. So we were one of the two. The other one was amazing illustrator Patrick Seymour from Canada.
Mhm.
So when they approached us, we have never done product design before,
Huh.
and we thought it was just a good idea to have our work on a mask. So we said yes, and we did some research into who are these people, who like to buy this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we found out that they go to parties, they like to stand out in the crowd, and it has to interact with the music.
So these
Basically,
are actually interactive masks.
yeah, they react to the sound level, so
Wow,
different parts would react.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. And we thought that for it to work in the dark, it would need to be bright enough
Hmm.
and colorful enough. So we chose 3 themes that we thought would be generic enough to sell as many as possible.
Yeah.
So the first one was a skull because it's universal, and an animal theme, and robots. So
Makes sense.
yeah, the panels need to be large enough to show the reaction, and there was a technical uh, limit, like we have to leave a gap for the wiring.
course.
Yeah, so we approach it more like a product design rather than an illustration project.
Yeah.
And the illustration styles ends up being informed by the design, by
Yeah.
the function, rather than just do whatever styles we want. So
The gaps, like your line thickness, for example, was determined by
the
the
minimal distance for
right.
yeah. Yeah, and the project raised 300,000 US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 10 times the previous campaign. So it was quite cool to see this kind of impact, direct impact.
Yeah, I've never seen
of this.
anything like it. It's amazing.
Thanks.
Did you get one for yourself?
Yeah, they sent a box to us, a whole box.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cool as hell.
Yep. And
Awesome.
compensation wise, it's by percentage of
All
the
right.
sales. Yeah.
Oh, that's
That
good.
was yeah, because when they contacted us, they were unsure, we were unsure, so it was based on like 9% or 10% of the sales
Cool.
of our mask. Yeah.
So not too bad. When a Kickstarter project actually works, then it can be a decent deal.
Yeah. Yeah. For a moment, we thought like maybe we should do this full time.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Sell products.
Yeah, man. So I think the one topic that I still had on that I usually ask people is to show us around or show us something that they maybe want people to see in their home or in their studio. And I know you're stuck at home at the moment, but you'd mentioned you've got a cool collection that you might want to show us.
Okay.
Would you be up for that?
Sure. Yeah. Let me change.
Oh, you're on your phone, yeah, so you can take us with you. Great.
Yeah, I have all this here.
Oh, you got a. I'm still trying to get a cause. I still haven't managed to find one.
I These are bootlegs, but I have the
Donny.
original in my storeroom. The
Wow.
original open edition.
Oh man, those are cool.
These are by
Terminator.
Hong Kong company called Hot Toys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. they
Huh,
make
wait,
this.
pause right there. Pause right there. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Here. But I think you've got a higher quality one.
Oh,
Wait, there it
I think you have the variant one. Yeah.
is.
It's the same. They just
It
different
could
color.
be. I can't remember which manufacturer this was. Nice one. Well, I only have one, so my collection's much smaller. Oh, Rel as well. Great.
Yeah, these are Yanas.
Very cool. Optimus. And another cause. Great. Nice. You've got loads.
Yeah.
So, Hot Toys, did you say, were most of the big figurines?
Yeah, they make 1/6 scale
Uh-huh.
figures from movies. Like, I have a collection of Iron Man in the living room. Yeah. Like
1
they
to
make
6,
every
so that's
version.
then that's like what? This
About 30 cm tall. 30 cm.
amazing. It's massive. Cool. Nice one. Thanks for letting us have a look around.
No problem.
All right. Well, I'll try and share some more work on our channels once we post this, and we can maybe we could do a little Q&A on the on Instagram stories if any people have questions that we want to ask, since we're not doing this live because of the time difference. So yeah, dude, Jun, thanks very much for talking to me. It's been super interesting. I'm a big
Thanks.
fan of your work. Very happy to talk to you, and hopefully I'll make it to Singapore someday.
Sure, sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
You're
And
welcome.
have a great day.
You too, buddy. And say hi to Yana as well.
Yeah, sure.